in this draft?
Well, Skip, I would take him number one. I think the biggest thing is that for the most part, what a universal of every mock I've seen, it's been the same top three guys. It's been Edwards, it's been Wiseman, and it's been LaMelo Ball. And because this draft, Skip, they don't have a Shaq, you don't have a LeBron, you don't have a Tim Duncan. Because if somebody wanted to, you can move up to get that number one spot. You could offer enough. When those three guys came out, there was nothing you could offer because they were viewed as transcendent, franchise-altering players.
Yep.
So, but because Melo is 6'7", 190 pounds, he can handle the ball, he can play off the ball, I would take him. Now, if Edwards had his size, he would be the number one pick in the draft, Skip. But because he's 6'3", and he doesn't...
I think he's more 6'4" and a half, 5.
You go 6'4"?
Whatever.
They list him at like 6'3".
Okay.
And because the college three, Skip, he shot 29%, you're like, ooh. And Wiseman, I like him. I love his size, Skip.
So do I.
7 foot tall, 7'5" wingspan. Mm-hmm. But, Skip, the way the NBA's played today, they don't view the big like they did in the 80s and 90s. And he could work on that, and he might eventually become, because if you remember, Skip, when Anthony Davis came out, he didn't have three-point range. Anthony Davis was a defensive specialist. I think he averaged 13 and 10, 13 and 11. Mm-hmm. And something he worked, and now he's worked his way out to three-point range. Wiseman could eventually come that. But because there are no what they deem franchise-altering players, I would take LaMelo number one because I can put him with D. Russell and Karl Anthony Towns, because I look like Karl Anthony Towns and Wiseman might be very, very similar in guys, Skip. So for me, yes, I would take LaMelo. And I understand. He's only played, 12 games overseas in Australia, and so there's not a whole lot of tape except, those 12 games. But I would take LaMelo number one, Skip. I believe he has possibly the potentially of the most upside, and that's what NBA scouts and general manager and everybody looks for. So I would take Melo number one.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. By default, you'd think, maybe he's the best talent. But this young man said yesterday, I was born to go number one in this draft. I've seen and heard enough of the Ball family to the point I think exactly the opposite. I think you, LaMelo, were not born to go number one because, like your oldest brother, Lonzo, there's something missing in the makeup of these kids. You know how much I love Lonzo coming out of UCLA. Mm-hmm. And I remind you, Lonzo shot 41% from the college three-point line. Right. And I thought, here we go.
Yeah.
Lonzo got destroyed by De'Aaron Fox in a second-round NBA game one night on a Friday. What did I say? NCAA. NCAA second-round game in Memphis. But I gave him a pass because his mom had just suffered a horrendous stroke. Mm-hmm. And father and brothers could not be there to support Lonzo. Right. So he just went ahead and toughed it out and had a rough game. And yet, as I watch LaMelo, and I only know the highlights, right. He's been all over the world playing basketball. There's never been a high school basketball player more traveled than this kid before the draft. Mm-mm. He played in Lithuania. He played in his father's pro league startup out here in L.A.
Right.
Then he went to prep school in Ohio for a little while.
Spire.
And he only played 2 years at Chino Hills in high school before his father had yanked him out of there. So you're thinking, what is he? Who is he?
Right.
Then, of course, the 12 games you mentioned in Australia, in which he shot 25% from the three-point line. And once again, I'm seeing a kid who's got the weirdest, funkiest three-point shot. It's like this, some kind of a two-hand push. So with Lonzo, we had the opposite way. We had him shooting
from
over here.
And
finally, last year, he finally started to rid himself of that terrible habit. But I'm seeing these kids are spoiled rotten by their father. And I enjoy their father when we have him on. But LeVar destroyed the first young man coming out, Lonzo, when he said he's going to be better than Steph Curry before he dribbled one ball in the NBA. You can't paint that big a target on that kid's back. He's taken number 2 overall by Magic Johnson. He's going to be the next Magic for the Los Angeles Lakers. And Magic predicted at the opening media session, we will raise that number 2 banner to the ceiling, right? you can't live up to that. And it crushed this kid's psyche for a while, and I think he's just now starting to play his way out of it. Again, I thought he was going to be transcendent because he has the gift of passing the basketball. Unlike, it's very rare.
Well, Skip, let me tell you why I disagree. Although they might be spoiled, and LaMelo had a Lamborghini or Ferrari at the age of 17, 18, but for you to put yourself in this position, even though you have a lot of material things, you have to give the kid some credit.
Okay, but here's my problem. Do you see killer will in these kids? Do you see hunger, urgency? Do you see obsession with domination? Do you see? I don't sense it at all. I sense that they play basketball like it's a video game in their living room where they're just lounging on the couch. Right. That's how they approach NBA basketball. If we win, it's fine. If not, no big deal. I don't see the drive in any of these kids. And it's so odd because the father is straight out of Compton, and these kids are straight out of Chino Hills.
Well, I think the thing is, Skip, is that because we've been around LeVar so much, and we don't see the side in them that we see in LeVar. And so, but I think the thing is, for as, I guess you could say, as pampered as they've been, for have a son to go number 2 in the draft and then to possibly have a son go number 1 in the draft, Skip, I think that speaks volume. Because I look at it just like the Manning situation. Archie Manning was a made man. They went to prep school. They had the greatest life. And you get 2 sons go number 1 overall, Skip, that's saying something. So for these kids to get to where they got, given what they've been given, I think that's kudos. Okay, but it doesn't matter what your economic situation was. It matters how you were taught, what's your drive, how are you going to play with any anger, or do you have any obsession for perfection? And both the Manning kids, they came up, they were obsessed with it. Peyton was obsessed with being the greatest ever. I believe these guys were Skip. I mean, they showed little highlights of Melo, and he dunking the ball. He got on Pampers. So he's been obsessed. I think that was their whole purpose. You know, and LeVar was basically saying, look, my boy's going to the NBA. I think they were obsessed with going to the NBA. Now, look, I think the expectations that we had you had and LeVar had for Lonzo, Skip, he could never live up to those expectations. He would literally have to be Magic Johnson in order to live up to the expectations that were placed on him. But when you look at it, like I said, it's the top 3 guys. What is it about Edwards? What is it about Weissman that you like more than what you like about Melo?
Okay. In the big picture, obviously, by far the most gifted player is LaMelo.
Right.
But he's still undisciplined gifted. He's got the passing gene in him. Right. And Jay Bayless is trying to make a case he's a better passer than Lonzo. It's hard for me to buy that, but I haven't seen enough of him. But LaMelo is far more offensively gifted than Lonzo.
Yes.
Okay, but he reminds me of my all-time favorite college player, and I don't know if you're old enough to have seen him, but it was Pete Maravich. And he was also coached at LSU by his father, Press. So he had the greenest light you'll ever see in the history of college basketball. He would come down and just create things, both passing and shooting, where you'd say, I've never seen that because he didn't. He had no checks and balances. Nobody was going to yank him out of the game if he tried that shot or that pass. And some of them worked.
3-point shot too.
And he was shooting like 35-foot jumpers that counted 2 points.
Right.
You'd say, I've never seen that pass. He would throw full court baseball passes. You'd say bounce passes.
Right.
You'd say, where did that come from? And he would hit somebody right in the hands for a layup.
Right.
And you'd say, I've never seen such flair. But it didn't contribute to winning a championship because it's too wild, too undisciplined, and too often it doesn't work. Right. And that's what I saw in the highlights of LaMelo. He scored, as a sophomore at Chino Hills, he scored 92 points in a game in which he cherry-picked the whole game.
Well, that was the biggest thing, Skip. I mean, because, you know, we were on the air when this was going on. And he was like, okay, so what's this kid going to be? Is he just going to stay at half court and let them just throw in the ball so he can just shoot up 75 shots a game? And then LeVar, the coach, falls out because he's like, okay, I want a little bit more structure, a little bit more discipline. He's like, nah, my son is used to shooting any shot he wants, whenever he wants. So I think that aspect of it has changed. I agree with you. I believe he's more offensive gifted than Lonzo. Lonzo is a better defensive player than he is. But because the NBA is so open now, It's about getting up and down, Skip. I believe his game is probably more suited for the NBA than Lonzo. Lonzo wants to pass the ball. Yes, Skip, he ain't trying to really drive the ball because, like you said, right now he's afraid to go to the free throw line.
Yeah.
But this kid here, I believe this kid is probably more driven and has more passion about the game than Lonzo. Now, maybe that's Lonzo's personality, just sit back and chill. But I believe this kid, like, he has a little bit more fire.
I hope you're right. I don't quite sense it yet. I see a kid who I read in one scouting report, he socially distances on defense where he just doesn't care.
No, he ain't playing.
There's no desire to play defense yet. Can you learn that desire? His big brother will defend you.
Yes, absolutely.
And his big brother ended up about 6'6", and they say this kid still could be growing, and he's listed at 6'7", but could wind up at 6'8".
Yes, Skip, he's big. I mean, you look at him, you can tell he's bigger than Lonzo. I mean, Lonzo, remember we had Lonzo out here, and Lonzo is frail. Skip, this kid, like, he got a frame that can put 20, 30 more pounds on it.
If you do it, if you're committed to doing that, I'm good with it. But right now, in all the highlights I see, is he keeps resorting to just tough floaters. Like he'll shoot some off-balance floater, and again, 25% from three is scary wrong, right? You can't do it. You can't survive if you're going to play like that. You have to make them respect you from distance because he's not a basket attacker just yet.
Right.
Because I don't see the killer mentality. Like, if you better get out of my way. I'm going to dunk on you.
Well, Skip, you remember when Ja, now I'm not saying he's better than Ja Morant, but Ja, if you look.
Ja's got killer in him.
He does. Oh. But if you look at from the three-point shot, Skip, you remember teams were backing off, and he would make the shot, and he would tell them, you better tell him who I am. You better recognize me.
Okay, whatever that thing is, that quality, I don't sense it in the Ball kids yet. I don't know what happened to LiAngelo. The middle one didn't have the gift. He didn't have quite the ability. But if LaMelo has any kind of hunger or desire to dominate, to get better, to work harder, that Jermaine Jackson, who's been sort of tutoring him and mentoring him and coaching him, training him, says that he does have it. Well, I got to see it manifesting. And as yet, when you don't play high-level college basketball, when you don't play for Duke or Kentucky in the NCAAs, it's hard for us to make a judgment on it. Like, who is he? What is he?
Well, he has a very, very small sample. He has the smallest sample size of the top three guys, Skip. Edwards did play 1 year of college. Wiseman did play about 4 or 5 games, but we saw him all through his high school career. Well, we saw 2 years of high school, and then we saw Melo bounce here, bounce there, bounce all over the place. So he has the smallest sample size, but he's the most intriguing. I think the thing is, Skip, because he's giving you so little, and you look at his size, and you look at his ability to make plays, you're like, man, I got to have that. Just like you said yesterday with James Harden. Yeah, it might be a train wreck, but you sure want to see it. Let it be a train wreck on my watch.
Okay, for box office, if I'm the T-Wolves, I don't really care about fit with D'Angelo Russell. I care about, I want people to watch, and they're going to watch him to see if he is a train wreck. Or does he have it? Does he have some intangible that Lonzo hasn't yet displayed? Well, I'm not sure. So he goes to the Pro League in Australia, and they say it's a pretty rough and tumble league where they get after you. It's a very physical league. And he averages 17, 7, and 7. Okay, is it great? Did he average 35? No, he didn't. He averaged 17.
Let's give the man was 16, 17 years of age. I mean, he's only 18 now.
Well, he was I think he turned 18, I think, while he was playing in the Pro League. But whatever. If you're that dude, if you got next, I would think you would tear that league apart, but he didn't tear it apart, and he shot 25% from three. He seems so far to be a better free throw shooter than his brother because he shot 72% in Australia in just small sample size, 6 games. And his brother is getting better and better at the free throw line. He got it all the way up to 57% this year. But as we keep talking about his brother, you're not going to last long in this league as a pure point guard if you can't make your free throws. You got to make 70% of your free throws.
And you probably need to shoot a little higher percent from the three-point line and from the field. But Skip, I think
by the way, Lonzo keeps getting better from three because he's gone up from 31 to 33 to last year he shot 38% from three. Well, that'll work.
Well, he looked like he fixed that shot. It's not
I said he got it over on the right side of his face.
I think the thing is, Skip, with him is that it's going to be shot selection Because you remember all the shots that we see now used to be bad shots.
Yep.
Skip, you would never see a guy pull up from the check mark. You would never see a guy pull up from the logo unless it's at the end of a possession or the end of a half, a quarter, something like that. Now guys are routinely doing this. But I think some of his shot selections, coach is going to say, son, look, I understand, but this is not the time for you to shoot that shot.
Okay, no one's ever said that to LaMelo Ball, to my knowledge.
Well, they gonna start.
Okay, somebody's going to start, and then what?
Yeah.
Okay, how's he going to react to that? Who the hell are you to tell me that?
Well, yeah, I mean, hey, you're the number 1 overall draft pick, or you get a little more leeway than a non-lottery pick or a pick that's a little lower. But I think the thing is, Skip, for me, I think he wants to. I think he wants to be good. I think he believes that he's better than his brother. He wants to be better than his brother, and there's still time for his brother to go. What's Lonzo? 22, 23?
Yep. And I told you the 5 games before the pandemic hit.
Yes.
Lonzo went on a tear and averaged 21, 8, and 8. That's the guy I saw
right.
who could, as he becomes a man in the NBA,
right.
he has potential to average a triple-double.
Right.
Now, the points are going to lower.
Yeah.
He's going to average he could maybe go 15, 10, and 10.
Skip, but remember, that's what we talked about. See, everybody was talking about Magic. I say, well, he's more Jason Kidd to me than But if how you gonna say the man Skip? That make it seem like Jason Kidd's a bum. Jason Kidd just got the second most assists all time. Jason Kidd he and Grant Hill tied for Rookie of the Year. He was a perennial All-Star. He was a perennial All-NBA player.
Yep.
So don't make it seem like Jason Kidd was a bum. Jason Kidd was legit. And if Lonzo could have the career that Jason Kidd have, it would have been a slam dunk success.
Agreed. Yep. But nobody said Jason Kidd was going to be better than Magic Johnson the first day he stepped on the floor, right?
Look, people say a lot of things. Just because it's said doesn't mean it's going to be true. I didn't see Magic. Skip, I saw Magic in college. You knew he was special in college. If you just watched his senior, if you watched his sophomore year, when he went through the NCAA, Skip, you knew he was going to be special. Because, first of all, we'd never seen a guy that size handle the ball like that. So that was the first time. And so now everybody wants to be a big point guard. Why you think they got LeBron playing point? Scottie Pippen playing the point forward. It was because of Magic. Penny Hardaway was because of Magic.
Okay. So I knew it off one game, and I was there at courtside in Salt Lake City, and it was Magic Bird in the final.
Yes.
And you just sat back and said, there it is.
Skip, I was like, man, Larry Bird, that was the first time I got it. But I was like, I don't know if he's going to be able to do that in the NBA.
I agree. I was skeptical of it, of him, but I wasn't skeptical of Magic.
No.
He had Gregory Kelser alongside.
Exactly. So I think the thing is, Skip, is that because there's not a slam dunk Shaq, Bron, Tim Duncan, I do believe LaMelo Ball is going to go number 1 overall.
Okay, and are you going to be good with a two-hand push shot from 3 that might shoot 22% in the NBA?
To be honest with you, I would prefer my guy, the guy going that high, to have a better shot than that. I mean, you look at Lonzo Ball, you look at his shot from the left side of his face, and he went number 2. Kid Gilchrist, he went number 2, and that shot was around his head like,
okay, but he never lived up.
No, never. And they passed on Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
But anyway, Skip, ideally, I would like for him to shoot a normal shot like most NBA players shoot.
Yep.
But that's not what.
So how does your father, who has the wherewithal to send you all around the country playing AAU basketball, how does he not teach each of those kids to shoot a conventional jump shot?
Because what happens, Skip, is that you're shooting the ball at such a young age for such a great distance. You got to push it like that to get it to the rim.
Okay, but when you become 14 years of age, how do you not get it fixed?
Well, Skip, you already...
Because if you are hell-bent that these kids are going to dominate the NBA, at 13 or 14, you got to teach them some sort of conventional shot.
But here's the thing, it's going in.
I guess so.
People, at the end of the day, people all they care about is the end result. Well, man, it don't look pretty, but it went in. And so people start to accept that.
Mainly, they're just outrunning the other kids to the other end and just scoring at will.
I mean, you look at the team. They got another guy that's going to be a lottery pick that was on that Chino Hills team, and two guys that's in college.
Yep, which is why when this kid was a freshman, they won the state championship, and he was contributing big clutch shots for them.
So, like I said, if Edwards was 6'7", I believe he would be the first pick in the draft. But it's going to be interesting. I like the Wiseman kid, Skip, but like I said, they don't value the big man like they once did.
Well, all the mock drafts seem to have LaMelo falling to number 3 to Michael Jordan, and he definitely needs a sideshow.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, somebody might come up and get it.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.